Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and thank you so much for watching. So today's video is all about my face palettes. Now earlier I was never a face palette person, but of lately I realized that I have accumulated some good face palettes and which worked well and which didn't work well. Accordingly I will tell you when I'm showing it to you, and most of them I have already reviewed on my channel, so I will link down them in my description, or you can go ahead on my channel and watch them for yourself, so that you can make your own decisions if you really want to buy one. So before we get started, why don't you subscribe to my channel? It will really mean a lot to me, and click onto that small notification bell so that you get notified for my future uploads. So let's get started. So the first palette which I think I ever bought in my face palette collection was by Savannah Colors, and I think most of you who are living in India would have picked up this palette as one of your face palettes. Definitely. So this is my Savannah Colors Ultra Blush palette. This is how the palette looks like. Now it has blushes, and then it has a little bronzer come contour, and then you have a highlight. Now this palette is a must buy, I feel, because the pigmentation to its blushes are like bomb diggity. Like today I'm wearing one of the blush. Like I generally end up mixing two of them, so I generally mix these two middle shades and then use it because they really work well on my skin. It's very soft and very supple, and you can use this palette in any weather or any part of the day, like for night parties or morning, for any part of the day. I'm just telling you, you can definitely use this palette. And secondly, the contour and the bronzer and the highlights are also good. So if you're on a budget and you cannot afford to buy above 1,000 rupees face palettes, you can definitely try Savannah Colors. This is the shade 03. You can even go for 04. If you're in a doubt that's lighter for you, you can go for 04. It's really good. So this is my first ever face palette which I love and swear by. So bomb diggity, #1 approved. Next is a palette by Makeup Revolution. Now this was the second purchase which I did in my face palette collection. I may just end up going wrong in my rank wise, but if I does, it's okay. Forgive me for that. But as much as I remember, this was the second face palette I bought. This is the Makeup Revolution Ultra Blush Palette Golden Sugar 2 Rose Gold. Now this is how the palette looks like. Now the pigmentation to this palette is like intense. Like if you're into intense highlighting, you need your highlighters to just pop up in one go, this is the palette you need to pick. And then I got confused when I was buying this palette. Like when I bought this palette, I was like, why did they name it as Ultra Blush Palette, which I don't personally feel it's a blush palette, because it's more of a highlighting palette. Like if you're mistaken by this pinky shade, don't be, because again you cannot, like you can put a little shimmery blush on your cheeks which shows up a little blush, but these ones will show up like highlighters on your skin. And the other two shades, these two shades are amazing. Again, like I'm a bronzy person, I like my bronzers to be really good, so these two really work well. So what I do end up, like later I realize how can I work this as a blush palette. So what I generally do, I mix two shades, like this one and this one, and then use it. So then it shows up like a little blush on my skin with a little hint of highlight. But you have to be really careful when you're picking up shade from this palette, because it's damn intense. Like it's really good. And this palette will cost you, I think, $15.50, not more than that. So you can blindly buy this palette and you will not regret. So again, the second purchase I did was good, and I was really happy that, you know, it really works well for my skin. Next is, sorry guys, I'm touching my hair again and again. Next is my NYKAA palette. Now this is my NYKAA Strobe Genius palette. This is a full face highlighting palette. It has all the different shades of highlighter you can imagine. So if you're a person who's looking for a one holy grail palette which can give you subtle to intense highlighting, buy this one. People have mixed feeling for this palette. Again, I would not say that everybody would love it, because guys, at times it depends what kind of taste you have for the highlighters. So if you're a person who is always into intense highlighting, may not like it, but if a person who likes subtle and intense highlighting will love this, because I'm a person who love intense highlighting certain days, but certain days I like very supple highlighting. So this is the palette where it comes, like I can build it up to another level. So this is that kind of a palette, and it gives me more options to play around, and I can even use this palette as my eyeshadow palette. So it's like one of the best face palettes I have from NYKAA, and again it is a little on the expensive side, but I feel if you buy one, you're sorted. Let's move on to another face palettes I have. Now I'm left with another 4. So the first one is a sleek palette. Now this one is like this. Now this has a contour, a bronzer and a highlighter. Amazing. I have been using this from the time I received it, and I love using this. Like, this is bomb diggity again. And if you are really, if you can just get your hands on sleek face palettes, you should buy it. At least buy this one, you will love it. So this one I think is medium 374, which is good for my skin, but it's amazing. Like, I'm telling you, even if you want to, like, I'm not a contour person, but the days when I want to contour a little bit, I pick up this palette only for my contouring, because this has the perfect contour shade for me. So this is again one of the best palettes I own, and very sleek by the name, by look, and it's easy to carry. Again, bomb diggity. Next are the 2 ELF palettes. Now I have reviewed these ELF palettes on my channel, and you would have already, if you're watching me, following me since the longest time, you know which palettes are these. So first one is my contour palette. This is how it looks like. Now personally, I would say I don't reach out for this palette a lot, maybe because, not maybe, I know it, it's because of the shade I picked up. I should have gone for a darker shade palette, so I will be buying the darker one. The lighter one I have to work harder, like I have to pick up a lot of product, but I use this. Now, the one thing which I use the most from this palette is this powder. It's really good for under eye, and whenever you want to just prime your eyes and just settle down everything, this is a really good powder. And I do use the contouring shades also from this palette, because of the one thing which it has is like the gray undertones to it, which really help my contouring to be very gentle and very subtle, because I don't like harsh contouring or the contours which show up on the skin like you have done something to your face. So this palette works well those days for me. So I'm not totally regretting it, but not totally loving it. So this is another purchase which I did, and I use it. Next is my ELF blush palette. Now this one, I use it, like I love it. One of the best blush palettes, and I'm happy that I love blushes now. They're into my arena. It's always around me, and I love buying blushes. So this is a very nice purchase, and I really love using the blushes which it has. Earlier I thought this can be a bronzy or a contouring shade, but later I realized if you mix the shade with these pinky shade, it really gives you another kind of a blush on your face, and it's not that showy blush, but it is like, you know, it will just give you a soft glow, which I like personally. So all the 4 shades are bomb diggity, and you can buy ELF blush palette. There is a dark one also, which is I think way dark. That is why I didn't pick up the darker one, but lighter one goes well for me. So big thumbs up again for this one. Now we are down to only one face palette which I have, and it has only 2 shades, a bronzer and a highlighter. It's my Colourpop double play palette. This is how the palette looks like. Now this is an amazing highlighter. Like, it's a pure rose goldy champagne shade, and this one is an amazing bronzer. Like, when I bought this palette, I was not sure how this is going to work for me, because I felt it is cooler for my skin. But when I picked it up on my brush and I placed it on my face, I was like, wow, like, impressed. So Colourpop is like, the pigments cannot just go wrong. So you need to get your hands on this one at least. Like, if I want to tell you, like, the best of all, if I really like something which I know that I can survive with these two shades, has to be this palette. So this is an amazing highlighting shade and this is an amazing bronzing shade. They call it as a blush, but it's not a blush for me. I'm not mistaken this time. This is a bronzer for me. So guys, finally I would just say that you can definitely go ahead and purchase one for yourself and you will not regret buying this one. So yeah guys, if you really loved watching my face palette collection, do give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And if you really consider my channel to be watched and really like my reviews, please share. It will really mean a lot to me. So take care of yourself, be healthy, and stay tuned on my channel for more such videos. Take care and bye-bye.